Good morning, guys, and welcome back to Bald Father Bets. So today we're going to be taking a look at college football Week 7 Saturday picks, give you guys a recap of Monday Night Football, and then look ahead a little bit into anything that we have already laid for Sunday. We added one play to that in the community post earlier, so want to make sure you guys are aware of it because it's a pretty big one. So first, taking a look at Monday Night Football, where we had Seattle plus the 3.5 for 3 units, and that was a loss. Turnovers there really made the difference. Gino turned the ball over 3 times, and anytime that happens and you're the underdog, you're probably not going to come out too well. Still think San Francisco has some problems underlying that are much deeper than not having Christian McCaffrey, but they played well. You could tell big momentum to not start out 0-3 in their own division, and they were able to get the win. So that brought us to a units record of 132, 89, and 4 on the season. So now as we move into Saturday, one thing that I want to point out to you guys, you're going to see some larger unit plays here. You'll see that the least amount of units that we're going to lay on any game is 2. And you'll see some larger unit plays. If you have not been with us so far since the start of the season, so you don't have that unit cushion that we currently do of 43 units in the positive, I would recommend that you cut these units in half for all these plays. If you are in the positive and you have a unit cushion, then go with us, stay with the same units that we are. But if you've joined us late in the season, you're kind of in the middle, or maybe you're trying to make up for a unit deficit that you have since the beginning of the year, I would cut these in half if you don't have the cushion to kind of play with. That's why we're going to be a little bit more aggressive here. So going into the plays, starting out with the morning picks, we're going to take South Carolina plus the 22 for 2 units against Alabama, and we're going to take Washington plus the 3 against Iowa for 2 units as well. The South Carolina-Alabama one, again, that's we are on the side that kind of the worst thing that could have happened to Alabama was that they won that Georgia game, giving them some pretty unrealistic expectations from the nation and from their fan base. I think Alabama is good, but do not think that they're a top 5 team. Didn't really think that coming into the season. They had to replace a lot in terms of the 2 deep and replace a lot in that secondary and on defense. I think South Carolina, they just kind of got blitzed early against Ole Miss last week, but I still think they have a good team. This is a big one for them. Obviously, it's a big one for Alabama to rebound after that Vanderbilt loss. Do not think you will see a sleepy, hungover Alabama. Just think that 22 points is a lot for them to cover against a South Carolina team that definitely has some weapons. Lenora Sellers is a very athletic quarterback. Rocket Sanders is a very good running back. They have an incredible defensive line, maybe one of the best pass rushes in the country. So, like South Carolina plus the 22, and then with Washington, Iowa, continuing to kind of fade the overrated Big Ten West teams now that the Big Ten is matched up to where they all play each other. Iowa has a good defense. Iowa's defense in the past 5 years is nowhere near kind of what like Ohio State or Michigan was last year. Nowhere near where Georgia was in 2021. They've been playing Big Ten West teams and Big Ten West quarterbacks, which has kind of made their defense much overrated. You look at the bowl game last year when they played Tennessee. Tennessee had most of the starters kind of sitting out. Iowa had a lot of people playing. They lost 35-0. When Iowa goes up against teams with a competent offense, all of a sudden their defense looks good but not great. And that's, I think, a trend that you're going to continue to see. A lot of these Big Ten West teams have been frauds for a while, and it's kind of nice to see now that they don't have that scheduling advantage. Everything's mixed together. You see kind of how much better the Big Ten East has been over the Big Ten West, and then some of these new teams out west that have joined the Big Ten, having some early success in the season. And a lot of that is playing Big Ten West teams. They've been able to be successful. I know it's a big travel spot for Washington. Not really happy about that. It's a huge travel spot, right? You play Rutgers, then you come back home, and now you have to go play Iowa. But Washington has been very quietly good this year. They've moved the ball against everyone. They just haven't been able to put it in the red zone. Iowa coming off of a big loss against Ohio State, so you do know that they're going to be motivated. If Iowa was getting the 3 here, we would probably be on Iowa, but Washington is getting the 3. So taking the team plus the points here. So Washington plus the 3 for 2 units. So then we head into the afternoon games. We have 2 plays in the afternoon. So we're going to take Texas minus the 14 for 3 units. If you did not get this one when we put it out, just kind of taper the units, because I believe it's up to Texas minus 15.5. I could see this one getting all the way to Texas minus 16.5, minus 17. Sharps seem to be kind of in love with the Texas play here. Oklahoma missing their top 5 starting wide receivers, same thing like they had against Auburn, but Texas and Auburn are 2 very different teams. Oklahoma able to get that win against Auburn, but again, Texas and Auburn, 2 very different teams. This game has a lot to do with motivation. Last year, you saw Oklahoma pull the upset after they were embarrassed the previous year, 49-0, during their off-season workouts. They did 49 reps of everything. They hung a banner with the score in their weight room all off-season, reminding the players, hey, you got beat 49-0, and then what do you know, they came out and they won the game last year as an underdog. Texas has that motivation. They have more of the returning players from the previous year to this year. Pretty angry about the loss. Quinn Ewers coming back. This is Quinn's last opportunity to play in this game, going up against Michael Hawkins Jr., who I'm very high on, but he's a true freshman. This is the first time he'll ever be playing in this game. This is a difficult game for a true freshman to make a start in. I've been to this game in Dallas. It's a pretty incredible atmosphere, one of the best in college football. Think that Texas will win this one and win this one handedly. So we have Texas minus the 14. That one's going to be for 3 units. Then out in Los Angeles, we have the Penn State versus USC game. So we have USC plus 5.5, and we took that for 3 units. Line is down to 3.5. I would be comfortable with anything at 3.5 or more. I think that there's a very good chance USC wins this one outright. Again, we're a team from the East traveling west. That's fared pretty well for the home team so far this season. Love Penn State, think that they are a top 5, 6, 7 team in the country this year. Just think this is a pretty difficult spot. They still have James Franklin as their coach, who seems to be developmentally disabled when it comes to coaching in big games. Like Lincoln Riley in this spot, I've always thought Lincoln Riley is an exceptional coach. Think he's a better schemer than, well, I mean, that's not, of course he's a better schemer than James Franklin. Really what you need to look at is he a better schemer than Andy Kotelnicki? And he is, but Kotelnicki isn't, at least in his league. Penn State has one of the best defenses in the country and one of the best defensive lines in the country. What they don't have, and they have not traditionally had, they're a bit smaller on offense and defensive line than you would kind of expect for a team in that caliber. Michigan was able to exploit it last year when they ran the ball 100 times and didn't throw a pass. Ohio State has been able to exploit it, and the way USC has gotten into trouble so far this year is, hey, they don't have a defensive lineman over 300 pounds. They're a bit smaller, and so teams like Minnesota were able to exploit that. Wisconsin exploited it for a period of time. Michigan was also able to exploit it in the amount of rushing yards they were able to gain. Penn State tends to be smaller and more athletic along the offensive and defensive line. Not that they're not amazing, they're fantastic. They continuously have offensive and defensive linemen drafted in the first round of the NFL draft. It's just the size isn't as large. It's never really been their bread and butter. So I don't see that as much as a exploitation point for USC, and we like them getting the points at home. So this one is going to be, again, USC plus the 5.5 for 3 units. Then we move into the evening plays. So start out with Ole Miss and LSU. We have LSU plus the 3.5 for 3 units as well. Baton Rouge at night, you guys can look it up, all sorts of stats on how difficult of a place that is to play. I think these are 2 very, very, very even teams, very similarly matched. I'm surprised that the Sharps are letting this line stay at 3 or above, especially with how evenly and close this game was last year. Maybe one of the best games of the year, Ole Miss, LSU, at Ole Miss, and I think that there's some motivation from the LSU side. I think that Baton Rouge will be rocking. I think this is a 3-point game either way, which is why we're taking LSU plus the 3.5 in this one. So then we move into the game of the week, one of the games of the year so far, Ohio State and Oregon. I am a big believer that in the past 3 to 4, 3 to 5, more pretty much since Ryan Day has been the head coach of Ohio State, that Ohio State's the best team in the country, the best program in the country. I think they would have won the national title in 2022 if Marvin Harrison Jr. didn't get hurt, didn't get the concussion in the third quarter against Georgia in the Peach Bowl. I think they were the best team that year. I think they were the best or the second best team in the country last year. On a neutral field, I think they were better than Michigan. The Ohio State-Michigan game just got played in Ann Arbor. I think they have the best coaching staff in the country when you put head coach, offensive coordinator, and defensive coordinator together. I think Bill Knowles is the best defensive coordinator in college football. I think Chip Kelly is still a top 5 offensive coordinator. And I think Ryan Day is still a top 5 offensive coordinator, and he just happens to be the head coach of the team. They have one of the best rosters that they've ever had in the history of Ohio State. I don't know if it is the best, like Urban Meyer has said, but it's one of the best that they've ever had. And I think that they have probably some of the best talent of skill players at the wide receiver and running back position that you've ever seen at any team in the history of college football. They have the best defense in college football this year. They are aggressive. They are sound. They don't turn the ball over. I think that they're my pick to win the national title. They were my pick to win the national title to start the year. And I think that they are absolutely a class above the Big Ten. However, this is a situation where it's a regular season game. They're traveling to Austin Stadium. They're traveling east to west to Oregon, one of the farthest locations away for Big Ten teams that they have to travel outside of Washington. I think that Oregon will be a very, very intense environment tonight. I think Oregon is also an exceptional football team. I think they're very good along the offense and defensive line. They have the trench play to compete in this one, and I like them plus the 4 points here. So we are taking Oregon plus 4 points for 5 units. Think that the quarterback position is a bit of a wash in this one between Dylan Gabriel and Howard. I think that Gabriel tends to use his legs in very big games. You look at the OU Texas game last year, Gabriel hadn't really been a factor with his legs all year. Then the OU Texas game happened and they had a lot of design QB runs in there. I think you may see the same thing in this one. I think Howard may also use his legs. He's a very effective runner. You know, neither of these guys are going to blow you away with their speed. Gabriel's a bit faster, but they do have the ability to, on a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 4, a 3rd and 5, use that QB draw play, use the QB scramble, and they're very effective in getting the amount of yards that they need to keep a drive going. This is the game. I haven't been as excited for a game in college football this season as this one, mainly because of the trench play that you're going to see between these two. Think that Ohio State has a very good offensive line. The notion that it is the best in the country to start the year, it has been on the field. I would question the competition in which they have played and think that Oregon's defensive line will be able to give them some trouble. So yeah, like Oregon here plus the 4, like that stadium, like that environment. Think that could not be more excited for this game, but taking Oregon plus the 4, we're going to take that one for 5 units. So we will have a play on Colorado, Kansas State, the late game, 9:15 Central Time kick, 10:15 Eastern Time kick. We're leaning a certain way. We're leaning Colorado. I'll say it. It's right now you can still get Colorado plus the 4, but I want to watch this line a little bit more. There's been quite a bit of line movement in this one that's very interesting, and then there's also so much. I'm surprised the line hasn't come down more for how much liability the books have on the money line, which makes me think that there's a chance that they know something in this one. Colorado has proven at this point that rush defense that was the worst in the country last year out of Power 4 teams is improved 50 to 75%. they will try and make Avery Johnson beat them throwing the ball, but Avery Johnson has shown this year that he can throw the ball. The concern here for Kansas State is they've shown that they are gettable in the secondary, and that is not where you want to be gettable if you play against Colorado. It's the one place you do not want to be gettable. I don't think people are appreciating how good Shedeur Sanders is. If you look at essentially every stat which says whether or not a quarterback's life is easy or difficult, shows that life for Shedeur Sanders is extremely difficult to play the quarterback position, and yet he's still putting up the numbers and is still one of the best quarterbacks in college football. As of now, he would be the #1 draft pick in the NFL if you really listen to scouts. He has the most amount of talent. He is exceptional at reading defenses. He's smart. He doesn't really turn the ball over that much outside of that throw against Nebraska in the end zone. But we will see kind of how this line moves as the day goes on. But we will have a play on Kansas State, Colorado. So make sure you check back and you have those notifications turned on, because we'll make a community post on that one as the evening goes on. So again, if you're winning with us, if you're betting with us, guys, please just subscribe, notifications on, like, share, comment. Just always keep these picks free. Just want to grow this channel and help us get into that algorithm for YouTubers. So Sunday, wanted to make a point. Make sure you check the community posts. We've made a few posts now on the plays that we have. Want you guys to get those lines. Just want to point out one that we added. We've added others, but this is the one that I want to point out. We are on the Baltimore Ravens minus the 6, and we're taking it for 10 units. Think that the Commanders, it's time for them to come back to earth. Back when I placed the Ravens against the Cowboys for 10 units, I think you guys heard my take on Lamar Jackson when he plays against NFC teams. I'm looking at the Commanders and who they've played and whether or not those teams have had good defenses in terms of this offensive surge that they're on. Think that there is room for growth in the defenses that they played, to say the least, and the Ravens will be a little bit of a different animal for them. So yeah, we're taking the Ravens minus the 6 for 10 units, and then check the community post for the other NFL plays that we've made, and we will get at you tomorrow morning, where we will pick every NFL game against the spread as we do every weekend here. And let's continue to have a winning season. Glad that you guys are with us, glad that we've been doing so well. And enjoy the famous October 12th date of college football that's been talked about for the whole off season. Hopefully you don't have to go to a wedding or go to a pumpkin patch or something stupid, and that you get to watch football all day. And yeah, check those community posts, because we will make the official Kansas State Colorado play later. Thank you guys. Enjoy.